من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم. So what we want to do today, this afternoon inshallah, is to do a number of things. The first of which is that I want, as part of the module on Ulim al Quran, I want to look at some tips on, some practical tips to leave with you on the way how to connect with the Quran, which I think is important. Because as much as you can study the theory of how the Quran was revealed, what are all the different disciplines within Ulim al Quran, about the linguistic features of the Quran, at the end of the day, it's all coming down to how do you utilize this knowledge in terms of engaging with the Quran. Because the Quran is meant to be your companion. So that's the first thing that we'll do. The second thing that we'll do is that we'll continue, as you know, that we were doing a session on a journey towards God using some aphorisms. So we've done about 4 of them, but we do have quite a bit more to do, inshallah. So we will continue with that building on how it is that we can develop an adab on etiquette and how we relate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we will continue with that. And then the last thing this evening after Salatul Asr, inshallah, we'll be looking at a session on why Muslims differ and what are some of the ethics of disagreement and engagement that we should have. Because as you may well know, that's one of the big problems in Trinidad. You know, I don't look like you, you don't dress like me, you know, you don't think like me, my beard is 2 inches longer than yours, therefore we need to find different places to pray, and all sorts of things happen. So these are things, you know, that we need to sort of discuss, inshallah. So we will start with a session on connecting with the Quran. So here I've come up with 10 top tips. 10 top tips of connecting with the Quran. This is an interesting picture. Everybody can see it a little bit clear? So they are more or less, I mean, this is just a small a picture which has been cropped. I mean, if you see it from above, it's just an amazing picture. But what it is that it's a picture of taken from Indonesia in a huge mosque or Islamic center, where after prayer, people sit in concentric circles, like you see here, and they're all engaged in the Quran. It's just an amazing scene, but to be able to see it that way. Seems to be somebody in the middle as well, making sure that they don't fall asleep. Okay, all right. Okay, so 10 top tips. Tip number 1. How hungry are you? Chap there is eating his mango. I think he's fairly hungry. But how hungry are you? If you don't have a hunger for the Quran, okay, you can speak as much as you like, you know, you would not, you know. Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah, in his book on Ulim al Quran, in the shade of the Quran, he talks about this. He talks about when he engaged in Ulim al Quran, he says that amongst the things that you need to do is that you need to develop dhaqaha. You need to develop a taste for the Quran, literally. And I was discussing with Abdul Wahid, brother Abdul Wahid, about how he translated this with dhaqaha. And he said that you need to sort of, you know, taste it. I think he used the word taste it or something like that. And he said it's not just a matter of tasting something. It's not a matter of putting it in your mouth and tasting it. But it's actually putting something in, internalize it, and getting a feel for it. You know, it's a really, really powerful term. And it's important that you need to have that hunger for the Quran. If you have the hunger for anything, if it is that you love music, or you love, you know, video games, or you love to be on social media or Facebook or what have you, or you love somebody or something, as the case may be, then you know you have a hunger, you want to be with it all of the time. You know, the Quran really has to become your companion. This is what the hadith tells us. And this is what we need to develop, inshallah. So hunger is important. And hunger is very much linked with the type of mindset that you have. It has to be something that you love. If you do not love the Quran, you can do as much as you can. You can study it intellectually, but you will not get what the Quran has to offer. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that one of the barriers that many people have towards the Quran, it is that it is something difficult to engage with. It is so difficult. The words are so difficult. It's in a foreign language. The translations are archaic. They use words from Shakespearean days and so forth and so on. I can't understand the language. And of course, in a sense, it is. It is also difficult if you want to go deeper and deeper. But for each one of us, it is something which is easy. And the Quran makes that point. وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. That we have made the Quran easy to understand and to remember and to internalize. Is there anyone who is there to take admonition in this? And this is something important for us, because if you think the Quran, if you think something is difficult, if you're doing a module in whatever subject it is, and you believe that module is difficult, no matter how good the teacher is, you will find that you will never be able to perform as well as you can. Because you need to be able to cross that sort of mirror, that sort of barrier between yourself. You have to be able to go over that hurdle. And once you do so, then it becomes easy. So this is why, for anything in life, one of the most important things that you do, whatever it is that you engage in, you tell yourself, even though something might be difficult, this is going to be easy. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get what I set out to do. If it is that you want to do well in an exam, you tell yourself. And that is the first thing. Even if you feel that you do not have the competence. One of the talks I saw on YouTube, a very interesting talk, is called Fake It. Fake It. Some of you probably seen the YouTube video, the TED Talk. And what she talks about is that she talks about her own journey, through life. And she was never somebody who was good at public speaking or anything at all. But somebody told her to fake it. And so she faked it. And then it came out so brilliant. And then people say, wow, you're such a good speaker. Where did you learn all of this stuff? And she didn't see, and when you say fake it, don't tell anybody that you faked it. Which she did. She didn't. But then gradually she developed the confidence. And I see this level of confidence in interviews. One of the things I do is that I'm engaged with interviewing potential doctors who want to go into higher surgical training. And once a year in London, we have this huge recruitment of doctors from all over the UK. They come to one central point where we select the best of them who we think is worth investing and getting them into higher surgical training. And it's interesting, how people behave, how they are. To the extent that you can tell the ones, who are shaking, or the ones who are, who will go in there. And a lot of them, they go in there. Even sometimes in exams, I see it in exams, when I test the medical students. They go in the exams and they shake your hand. And any question they ask you, they seem as though they know the answer. And when you listen to them, they know very little. But they still get the mark for being able to show that, yeah, I'm confident. Yeah, I can deal with this. Okay, and sometimes you have to go a little bit deeper if it is that they're really going off board. Because sometimes you ask them about something and then give you an answer, and you know that there is no journal that has an article, something which is, but this is the way that you train yourself to be able to do it. So the Quran is something which is easy to understand. That is something that you need to tell yourself and remind yourself, because this is what the Quran says. Not just once, but repeatedly the Quran makes this point. The next one is that, the third one that I have here is, have a personal Quran journal. Now, how many of you here, raise your hands if you do, have a Quran journal? A journal of the Quran. How many of you has a special book or whatever it is that as you go through the Quran, as you reflect on ayat of the Quran and something you find quite inspiring to yourself, you say, I need to record it. I need to keep it. I need to preserve it. I have the little book which is in gold-plated little book. The best book, shiny with a nice cover on it, which I have, which I call my Quran journal. My journal with Allah. How many of you has this journal? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, one sister. The sisters are way ahead of us. Okay, okay, the brothers come behind, okay. Okay, and that is something which is important. Is it difficult? How many of you here? Is it difficult to have a little journal called the Quran journal? Is it difficult? Is it difficult? Yes or no? Huh? You can open one on your phone electronically if you can. Okay, if you're like me and sort of like to write things, then you can write things, but it is not difficult. It is easy to do, to be able to have this journal. And as you put entries into it, you become reflective. And this is how people publish their works. So many of you, when you look at famous authors and you think, well, how is that person, that author, so prolific? They seem to be writing books. They are, every day a new book seems to be coming out. And it's in moments. You see, sometimes, we are inspired with certain things. Sometimes, something overcomes you. You might go and visit a particular type of scenery. You might be somewhere. You might be in the midst of a crowd, or you might be alone by yourself. And some things come to you. And when they come to you, they're there for a fleeting moment. Just there for a fleeting moment. And if at that fleeting moment you do not capture what it is that you were thinking about